Well, let's tell stories about Alfieri. Alfieri is the lawyer, and he came over 25 years ago from Italy, and he had a shot. He had a better chance, obviously, than a lot of the guys. He had education, and he had parents who helped him get that education. He got a degree, but he didn't leave. He didn't cut himself off from his roots. He stayed in the neighborhood, and he works for the people who work in the neighborhood. He works for the longshoremen. He works for the shipping people. He's in there and he helps them. His basic cases are dealing with the troubles of the poor. It's a great part. It's a great play, Arthur Miller. This is the centennium of Arthur Miller, and there'll be productions all over the place. I know of 3 or 4. Steve Unwin is someone I've wanted to work with. And I've worked with his brother, and I was looking forward to this, and I think it's going to be a very good production. And it just feels, as we grow inch by inch, there's so much more to explore and understand about these characters. But I have a slight advantage over the rest of the cast because I come from whence it is written. So the Brooklyn Bridge is, I've never been to the Statue of Liberty, but I can't tell you how many times I crossed the Brooklyn Bridge. And, it's crossing that is spanning a lifetime, generations, and moving on in your life. Because my big move to the city, we used to call Manhattan the city, and that's where I started my acting. And so it all comes around. And to get to play Alfieri, who is basically Miller's view from the bridge, because he's moved on, but he can see the difference. And he makes that gap more understandable. The first thing it means is it's going to destroy my speech that I've improved over the many years of living in England for 30 years now. I have to go back into that drawer and bring out the Toity Street, we're born there, and if you're born in New York, it's the best place in the world. And you can take the boy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take the Brooklyn out of the boy, so it's there. I grew up in Brownsville. I was born, and that's not far from Red Hook. They were both slums. I grew up on the streets, a lot with gangs, and later on, growing up through Brooklyn and then Queens, so on and so forth. Oh, sure. I mean, my father was a laborer. He didn't finish high school. He was first generation. My mother didn't go to school. I think maybe 2 years. And then she went to work. They had to support their families. They used to push vegetable carts for 2 or 3 cents an hour. It was tough growing up. It was the melting pot. It was, all kinds coming into town, and there were neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods tried to keep together, they established their food, their clothing, their customs, but there was a great mixture. And the difference, I think, perhaps today is that people came there to make a better life. They didn't come to get one. They came to make it. And they brought their skills, their education, their talent, and their family. And there was a very strong sense of family back then. And it was an interesting place to grow up. Johnny brings a wonderful quality to Eddie Carbone. It's kind of a guy who you see just under the surface, reaching to get that breath of air, You could see him right there. I try to give him the hand. I can only reach out so far, and he's trapped by his culture, by everything around him that bears him down. This is his life. He had no expectations. He goes to work, gets his money, he raises a family. That's his life. And he raised his niece as he would his own daughter. And now she's coming of age. That's hard enough to deal with, but other issues complicate it even more. Issues of other people, issues within himself. And Alfieri is trying to lead him to the light, but you can only take somebody, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, is what my father used to say, you know. Actually, there's another thing he used to say. He used to say all the time, you know, I tried to make him change his life because it was a tough, hard life for him. And I said, you know, he used to say to me, hey, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And then one day I had an answer. It took about 20 years, and I said, Dad, you're not a dog. The talk is that we want to bring this out. You know, this is a classic production, and it's understandable by everyone. You know, everybody understands those feelings. And those feelings weren't so, let's say, in the press or out front or witch hunting kind of things back in the 50s, but they were there. And we want young people to wake up to this theater, to these words of Arthur Miller, to see these kind of classics, to get involved in theater. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to bring this timeless, you know, material back in and let them, you know, get a breath of it. And I think if we do that, I think we'll also be entertaining, because it's good. It's a good show, and it's a good cast. And I'm excited to be part of it.